All right, so here's an update to a earlier story I did. Instructure, the company behind the Canvas learning platform, apparently cut a deal with Shinyhunters after the extortion crew claimed to have stolen data tied to 275 million students, teachers, and school staff. And this is the part of the story that really is going to piss you off, okay? Instructure wants you to believe that the criminals pinky promised to delete it all. Yeah, I know. Here's what we know so far. It's fairly limited. Shinyhunters, well, they hit Canvas. Attackers got access to private messages, email addresses, and account data tied to users across the K through 12 and higher ed ecosystems. Now, Instructure confirms it reached what it calls an agreement with the attackers and said it received digital confirmation of data destruction. The TLDR here is that they basically got a screenshot saying, "Trust us, it's gone." And I'm sorry, I'm not buying it, okay? Shinyhunters has a very long history of double dipping, reselling, and quietly leaking data months after victims paid up. No one in the industry thinks 275 million records just up and got deleted because some criminal gang said so. Yeah, and also think about the data exposed in this leak, okay? The exposed data includes things like student names, school-issued email addresses, and internal Canvas messages between students and teachers. Yeah, and let's not forget these are criminals we're talking about. I mean, how would they not want to use this information to further along more payouts? And we're also talking about data on minors too. If this sort of sensitive data got out, yeah, you'd have a real serious problem. Because, I mean, people don't think about this, but school communications often contain very sensitive things like disciplinary notes, mental health flags, and like legal family details that should never sit on a dark web forum. But yeah, that's why I'm calling BS here, okay? Mark my words, this data is going to turn up eventually. Now, again, Instructure's been very tight-lipped here. They've not publicly disclosed whether it's paid the ransom, and it won't say how the attackers got in, but because this has raised enough eyebrows, hey, Congress is actually paying attention and actually pressing Instructure for more answers. So, who knows? Maybe we might actually get some congressional hearings and get some answers. But in the meantime, if you're a student, teacher, or staff tied to Canvas in any way, you need to assume that your data is out there, okay? Immediately rotate your Canvas password, but you should also probably reset or rotate any password that you've reused on any other site, okay? Also, the standard practice, turn on multi-factor authentication whenever possible, and also, this happens with every breach like this, but pay close attention to the school-issued email accounts because they're going to be ripe for phishing attacks, okay? Moving on to our next story. Recently, someone reached out to me on LinkedIn about some fraud their husband recently fell victim to. And well, I actually think I might have found something you might want to consider investigating. Okay? Researchers have discovered an Android fraud campaign called Premium Deception, and it's a textbook case of how mobile billing fraud has really evolved over time, okay? So check this out. Researchers recently found 250 fake apps all designed to silently sign victims up for paid services without ever tapping a confirmation button. Here's what's happening under the hood, okay? The campaign abuses something called WAP billing or direct carrier billing. That's the feature your phone provider offers so you can charge digital purchases straight to your mobile bill. No card, no PIN, no app store in the middle. It was actually built for convenience way back in the SMS subscription era, and it really never got the security upgrade that it needed, which begs the question, why does this even need to exist? It really doesn't. But anyways, I digress. The fake apps masquerade as a ton of different things like photo editors, wallpaper apps, and the usual like junk drawer of mobile bait. Once installed, they load hidden web pages, intercept one-time passwords through SMS permissions, and then complete the subscription flow on the user's behalf. Yeah, the victims see nothing, and only weeks later do the charges show up on their carrier statement. They're often like labeled things so vague that you don't really even have any idea what it is. So Why does this matter? I'll tell you why it matters. It's because carrier billing fraud bypasses every fraud control you normally rely on. Yeah, your bank can't block it. App Store refund policies don't apply, clearly. And the operators behind these subscriptions are often legitimate businesses in name only. Yeah, they're only set up specifically to absorb these fraudulent signups and split the revenue. Anyways, the campaign, it really hit users across multiple regions globally, with apps distributed through mostly third-party app stores and then side-loaded through links pushed by ads. Now, Google has been pulling listings as they're being reported, but 250, I mean, that's still a lot of cleanup, and the operators are clearly recycling templates here. I should also note, what's next is going to be more of the same, okay? As long as carrier billing exists with this weak verification, this fraud model, it pays. So I expect you're going to see more copycat campaigns into 2026 and beyond. So for everyone still paying attention, check your phone bill, okay? Look for any line items you don't recognize. And if your carrier can block these SMS and WAP billing features entirely, you don't use them, so ask. I'm pretty sure you don't, right? All right, let's now move on to our last story of the day, okay? Claude Code Sandbox had a hole big enough to drive your entire code base through it. Yeah. Anthropic actually patched 2 bypass bugs that let an attacker exfiltrate anything inside the sandbox to any server on the internet. I'm talking about things like credentials, source code, or any other private data. All of it. Yeah, this is all about CVE-2025-66479. It's a flaw that lives in Claude Code's network sandbox. Now, the feature is supposed to stop the AI agent from talking to arbitrary endpoints while it's chewing through your repo. It turns out, well, the allow list wasn't holding, okay? Researchers were able to punch straight through and ship data wherever they wanted. And this was really bad, folks. I mean, how bad? Well, bad enough that Claude actually confirmed the impact when it was shown the proof of concept. I mean, because you think about the ramifications here, okay? We're talking about full data exfiltration from sandboxes that developers trust to contain powerful coding agents with access to their machine, all right? The exploit complexity is also incredibly low. I mean, getting a malicious prompt in front of a model, I mean, let's face it, prompt injection is not exactly science fiction anymore, okay? And for those of you keeping score, yes, this is the second Sandbox escape Anthropic has had to patch in the last 5 months, okay? So, who's all affected here? This is the bad news, okay? Anyone running older versions of Claude Code locally, which at this point is a lot of you, okay? So if you let Claude Code touch your repos, cloud credentials, or anything with a token sitting in your environment, you need to assume the blast radius is everything that process could read, okay? I know it's a lot, but seriously. What you need to do right now is actually update Claude Code to the latest release, okay? Don't wait for the weekend. If you can't do this immediately, well, kill the network agent's access to the host firewall and rotate any credentials it might have had access to. You also might want to review your logs for any sort of outbound connections that you weren't expecting. So yeah, check your inventory, patch this week, and stop treating AI agent sandboxes as a security boundary. We've been saying this for a while. Never trust an LLM. All right, folks. Well, that about wraps up today's stories. This is Andy Thompson signing off.